Good morning and welcome to the new edition of Dr. Lamba's Awakening Call. Recently, we have seen that Rohingyas are once again in the news, and many times I feel that the sins of the fathers are wasted on the children. I fully agree that Rohingyas as refugees are a human issue, but then which issue is not human? And if you do something which ultimately results in your karmic punishment, then why crib about it? I again feel that human beings always feel when others are hurt. Yes. And I do feel for the innocent to suffer for the sins of their fathers and forefathers. But then this is nothing new. We have always seen that when you do something which should not be done, when you start betraying your own country, and that's the worst thing. Disloyalty, whether to a friend, whether to a relation, whether to a country, is something which is absolutely unwarranted. And now UNO, all the NGOs are worried not about Rohingyas being refugees that they have accepted quietly and without any concern. But now their anger, their resentment, their angst is diverted not towards the original perpetrated Rohingyas, not towards the people who made them refugees, that the Burmese government, and the army rather, not the government, and the Burmese people, Myanmar people, but against Bangladesh, which gave them succor, help, refuge. Now, as a matter of fact, Rohingya problem is not new. People think that Rohingyas became refugees recently. No. Rohingya has been an issue which has been agitating people of that part of the world since 1937. It was in 1937 that the British imperialists separated Burma, a province of India, and created a country out of that province. And Rohingyas got an opportunity as in 1947, the difference of a decade, when Jinnah wanted separation from India. And Rohingyas, even in 1947, said they want to be part of Pakistan. So 1937, they wanted independent Muslim country. 40s, and that struggle continued for 10 years. And then when Jinnah came in the picture, they immediately aligned themselves with Jinnah, who had no cultural, political, social relationship with Rohingyas and who did not even recognize Rohingyas. As a matter of fact, when he was told that they want to join, he says, why? They are Burmese. They are not Bangladeshis. They are not Banglas. That's what he exactly said. So, but then, although they were repulsed by Jinnah, they did not lose their Islamic fervor. And when you want to live, when you want purposely agitate against your own country, then a time comes when the people say enough is enough. Now you get out. And that's what happened to Rohingyas. Their continued hostility to the Burmese nation, their desire to divide the country, their extra territorial loyalty to Pakistan when Pakistan was repulsing them, naturally had to result in their being thrown out. And once that you're thrown out, then you are out in the cold, cruel world with a begging bowl. And what nearest place to go than a Muslim country nearby? That's Bangladesh. And a secular country which gives help to each and everybody. Right from the time when the Jews came, the Muslims came, the Parsis came, India has been a home to all the people of the world. So, and then, when they came to Bangladesh, Bangladesh is heavily populated country, and Bangladesh was afraid that their loyalty is with neither with Myanmar nor with Bangladesh but with Pakistan. And Pakistan had been the cruel master of Bangladesh. So, what to do? Now, you cannot throw out millions of people who have come to you. So, what they did was that they tried to settle them in Bashan Char in Bay of Bengal. And the people won't want that. And now there was a hue and cry. And all these NGOs, all these custodians and self declared helpers of humanity came up, whether it was the UN High Commission, United Nations, Prime Minister Trudeau here in Canada, who appointed Bob Ray as a special ambassador for Rohingya issues. Never has been done. But it was on no avail, and Bangladesh continued to receive more and more people. The matter was akin to what happened in 1971 when Bangladeshis came to India as refugees. And Mrs. Gandhi said, enough is enough. We cannot have more refugees, so let's create Bangladesh. Bangladesh doesn't have that sort of a power that they could help them set up their own country. And then how to help them because they didn't want to be in that country. So, and they being heavily overpopulated, they said, okay, we have a remote island, Bashinchar in Bay of Bengal. So why not settle them? So they settled them there. And then again there was the hue and cry. Early this month, Bangladesh relocated 1,600 people over there. And then in the next few days, more than 1,000 more are going to be moved there. They'll be moved to Chittagong first, and from Chittagong, they'll be taken to this island. And depends on the height. Now, the point is the United Nations said that it has not been allowed to carry out the technical and safety assessment of Bashin Char, a flood prone island in the Bay of Bengal, and says it was not involved in the transfer of the refugees there. Who the hell is United Nations to interfere in the internal affairs of an independent sovereign country? Or is the white man's burden still afflicting United Nations? No, it's not possible. Bangladesh has to look to its own people first, and it cannot have seditious, undependable people mixed with the common people. Here, India is making a mistake which Bangladesh doesn't want to repeat. India did not object to Rohingyas coming in and moving to Kashmir. Imagine it. In Kashmir, the Indian citizens could not go and buy land. But Rohingyas were found in Kashmir. They were found in Tamil Nadu where there is no cultural connection. So they were not only in Bangladesh, or in nearby areas of Nagaland. Others. No, they went all over India, and India permitted them. But I think Bangladesh government has been more intelligent and circumspect. They said, no, enough. You shall have a separate city. We shall give you all the facilities, transfer you there, and it will ease the chronic overcrowding in the camps because there are more than 1 million Rohingyas in Bangladesh today. But these refugee and humanitarian contractors, I'll call them whatever you want to call them, self appointed, self anointed custodians. They say that these people are being forced to go to Ireland. Suppose they are forced to go, so what? Isn't it enough that Bangladesh government is giving them place to live in, food, clothing, shelter, roti, kapra, and makan, as they say in Hindi. Roti is the food, kapra is the clothing, makan is the housing. All the necessities of life are being given to them. And if they are being segregated, there's nothing wrong with that. And as a matter of fact, it is a prerogative of that country and the government of that country to protect its own citizens and not allow the people to pollute the congenial atmosphere that prevails in Bangladesh. Isn't this basically an undue, unwarranted interference in the internal affairs? Is it really a cause of concern, except for to show that these people are wishing well? Well, if they are so concerned, why don't they shift them to some place where they are liability of that government? There are places in Middle East, empty places. There's a city, air-conditioned city, we can hold 1 million people. So why not send them there? Why not send them somewhere where they can go and have their own Sharia, have their own system, have their own life? Or why can't they be taught to live in peace in their own motherland? If they recant and if they say that they are sorry, I'm sure Myanmar government would not object to their coming back. But then this unwarranted interference in the internal affairs of Bangladesh in not letting them be a burden on the economy and on the social system is nothing wrong. And when Bangladesh Foreign Minister Abdul Momen was in United Nations earlier this month, he very clearly said that the United Nations should assess and verify before making such statements. He assured them that the environment where the people are being repatriated is absolutely fine and conducive. And several attempts to kickstart repatriation failed because the refugees were too fearful of further violence to return to Myanmar. But now here is a conundrum. They don't want to go back to their own country. They come to a different country and then they want to enforce their desires on the host country. It's like some guest, an unwanted guest, coming to your home and start dictating. That's not acceptable. Yesterday, when I put in a note that I'll be talking about it, one of the friends he had written a comment, and his comment was, "It is Singh Jaspal from Mississauga. Which country can help them in their settlement and resettlement? Because their birth rate is so high. that none would venture in their settlement. I agree, absolutely. And even if the birth rate is not high, every country has its own issues, its own problems. And countries like India, Bangladesh, Pakistan are already overpopulated. It is the goodwill of Bangladesh that they have identified an island which emerged from the ocean, of course, but it's a part of Bangladesh. And in this island, they want to move them there. The second part of the question, or the comment of Singh Jaspal, was that Bangladesh has given up and moved them to an island which is likely to sink. No, it's not likely to sink because geographical studies have been undertaken, environmental studies have been undertaken, and the EPA, Environmental Protection Assessment, shows that it's a very stable place. Houses have been built, food would be provided. And then he says that why can't control their birth rate? Well, that is something for them. Maybe China is the answer. No. China would be an answer, but then they will be slaves only. Which they deserve to be. There's no harm in that. So partly you are right, Mr. Singh Jaspal. I fully agree with you. They can be sent to China, and China needs labor. But then these people are not willing to work. Don't forget that. They refugees, by and large, tend to be parasitic. Not they're originally parasitic, but what happens is when you start giving them unwarranted, undeserving help, then they consider that handout to be their right. And when handouts are given for a long time, then they become parasites. Look at what's happening in Denmark. Look at what's happening in Norway. They came as refugees, and now they are dictating terms that Shia would be there and their system of life will be there. Rather than learning the culture of those places, they want to impose their own culture. Rohingyas are no better. It's a human nature. But my today concern is that why should Bangladesh be criticized for moving them? Instead of being lauded, instead of being helped, Bangladesh is being criticized, which is wrong. We have got to ensure that Bangladesh is doing them a favor. And you cannot interfere in the internal affairs of another country, whether you are UNO, Human Rights Commission, or whatever. That is absolutely unacceptable. And if you don't do that, then some leader like the Philippines President Duterte would say, hell with you, I'm not bothered. That's possibly what UN deserves. And the sooner it gets the finger from Bangladesh, the better it would be for Bangladeshis. And let Bangladesh government move Rohingyas wherever it thinks proper. And nobody has the right to object. Don't you think so? Thank you.